take a seat.
I don't know who's busier today, me or you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought I was pretty busy until I see you going back and forth. So.
Well, I'm trying to keep up with you, getting my steps in for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been hearing the conversations we've been having all day, and it certainly is a lot that is, people are trying to achieve, that this country is trying to achieve, and certainly, therefore, your organization is trying to achieve. We don't have a huge amount of time for this conversation. So we've got about almost 10 minutes, 9 minutes now. So I think that we should have a little bit of a fun game.
All right.
I'm going to give you a word, and then you're going to tell me what comes to mind when I give you that word.
Okay.
Yeah, is that a deal?
That's
Oh, can we do that?
Yeah, well, if we can stay in bounds, I won't stay too far away. I'll try to stick with metals and mining.
You will stick to metals and mining. I'm not going to ask you about weird and random things. Okay, first of all, the word is resources.
Okay.
Okay.
Resources, we have them. I don't know if I'm allowed to use a sentence or one word, but...
No, you can use a sentence.
I mean, when you think about resources in the kingdom, we've got the financial resources to do this, to achieve our ambitions. We've got the mineral resources. We know we at least have phosphate, bauxite, gold, and copper. What else is out there we don't know, we've got to find out. And we have the human resources. I think that the talent base that I've seen in the last year rivals any place I've worked or heard about in terms of young talent, capabilities, technical abilities. The thing that impresses me the most, too, as an expat, is they're doing it in a second language. So, I mean, I'm amazed at the talent we've got. However, we just need to deploy them towards metals and mining. And as I talked about earlier today, I need to triple the size of my workforce to reach our 10x goal by 2040, to grow the company by 10 times by 2040. Means I need to hire 20,000 people. And so there's a shortage of talent because the giga projects are competing, Aramco's still growing, Sabic's still growing. So we're just in a war for talent in the kingdom like you can't imagine. So that's resources, we got them, we just need to find more human resources.
And I suppose also the financial resources, which I think is one of the benefits, because we've seen from the leadership here in Saudi Arabia, is that they're willing to put the money where their mouths are, right? It's not just we're talking. We're actually going to put the money in.
Well, yeah, we just announced today our joint venture with the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, that we're going to go out and source the critical materials required for the downstream development in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And we didn't announce the number, but it's huge. It's game-changing. It'll shock the world. We are going to go out and source lithium, cobalt, nickel, iron ore, zinc, copper, and it fits so nicely with Vision 2030 and making modern the third pillar of the economy. But we're a supply chain hub. We're going to diversify the economy. The resources are there. So it's the first job I've ever had where I was told to think bigger.
Yeah, I'm sure you went into shock and it took you a day to recover. Next word, ambition.
I think, it's a shame when you come to a conference like this that people don't spend more time. Because if you go out and you see the kingdom and you see what's going on, like Prince Abdulaziz said, if you go out this evening, you'll see it. You'll see the fast pace of change, especially if you've ever been here before. So I've been in and out of the kingdom since 1991. And the pace of change just in the last 5 years with the ambition of Vision 2030 is amazing. And I think Vision 2030 is one of the coolest, most integrated strategic plans imaginable because it knits together socioeconomic changes, geopolitical changes, demographic changes. It touches it all. It gets it all right. But it's ambitious, and it's the Crown Prince's brother today talked about how hard everybody's working. It's amazing the work ethic you see here and the hours people are putting in, but they're all excited about it. And it's funny. One of my young employees asked to take a picture with me today. And she held her cell phone up, and the screenshot saver was of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So, I mean, his ambition is translated to this young generation where they're willing to do what it takes to get there.
That's really, really important. I mean, I think you can see it so often in instances where things don't quite go where they should, because not only is that national ambition not necessarily there, but the putting the money where the mouth
Yeah.
is. That's the national ambition. Regional ambition?
Regional ambition, I think, we see it today, we saw it yesterday with 60 countries represented, integrated, thinking about the same types of issues. How do we solve some of the mineral resources issues, the exploration issues, the development of downstream industries together? The good news for the region, though, is Saudi Arabia is the geographical center. That's just a blessing of Allah that we have ports and a geographical center that connects Asia and Africa. So I think, the fact that we're doing this for the second year in a row and we're having substantive conversations, I think that bodes well for the regional ambitions.
Yeah. Last word, and then we'll come back to one of the other topics, if we have time. Innovation.
Yeah, you've heard the numbers, and people are throwing around, we need 5 times as much aluminum, 7 times as much copper. We need to, produce as much copper in the next 20 years as we did in the last 150. Whatever metric you use, we've got to go faster than we ever have before. So it used to, in Ma'aden's particular instance, used to take us 20 years from the time we started exploration until we commissioned a mine or a plant. In order to achieve just our company's objectives, I need to cut that down to 9. So we need to do things twice as fast. Need to find things twice as fast, process it, and you can't do that without significant innovation. That's why when we talk about talent and the need for talent, smart kids need to be thinking about how to apply technology, artificial intelligence, geospatial mapping, all these crazy concepts that we never heard about when I entered the industry. They need to apply that to metals and mining. And that's why I think we can make this industry so much more exciting to the younger generation because of the innovation that's going to be required to get it done.
I feel like my eyes are going that way because I'm trying to keep an eye on the clock, and otherwise they're going to be yelling at me.
We can be a little bit late. I assure you, I've lived in Saudi Arabia.
As long as they heard that backstage.
I've lived here for a year. People are a little flexible with timing.
I'd like to explore a little bit. You spoke earlier when you were on the panel this morning about the women in your organization already, and how you believe it's imperative. One of the challenges that we undoubtedly have is that this is a predominantly male industry thus far.
Right.
So it's not just about women providing the answers or providing the solutions about how transformation has to happen in the corporate sense. It's the corporations themselves that have to create environments that allow for women to work in those, and not necessarily on the terms that men do, but taking into consideration the real lives that women lead. They have children, they're caregivers, et cetera, et cetera. Ma'aden is dealing with this how?
So we are totally transforming every aspect of the company, whether it's exploration, project development, how we run our operations, how we manage our balance sheet. But the centerpiece of the transformation that I'm most passionate about is organizational health and capability. We talked about I need to hire 3 times as many people as I've got. I've got to draw on 100% of the population, not half of it. So I need to make the place attractive for 100% of the population, which include, obviously, the females. Now, I don't think I need to set up an organization, an infrastructure for females. I think females really are the tip of the spear. In my experience in the West, at least in the US, females are the tip of the spear in driving the type of workplace changes that are required for the next generation. So everybody's working from home now, right? So it doesn't matter if you're male or female. People want to be with their kids. People want to have a work-life balance. So I don't think, it needs to be female specific. I just think it needs to be inclusive, inviting, welcoming, progressive, so that we can get the most out of everybody, male or female.
And I guess what's important is ensuring that that kind of thinking becomes part of an organization's DNA, right?
Yeah.
So that even when Bob Wilt is no longer there, the very nature of how the organization functions is that sense of inclusivity. And I suppose the same applies for the broader diversity question, not just the women question.
Yeah, right.
Diversity of thought, culture, etc.
Oh, I have 11 leaders on my lead team, and I have two guys that are kind of the bookends. One, if we're moving at a speed that makes him nervous, I'm okay. And the other one, is bored. So if Duncan's bored and Abdullah's nervous, I know we're moving at just the right speed. So you got to have diversity. The last thing I want is more people around me like me. I know how I think. I know my experiences. So I encourage all my subordinate leaders, surround yourself with diverse thought, because you've already got one of you. You don't want people like you.
I think that's a really interesting question and a really interesting challenge, I think, for a lot of organizations to ensure that you're challenging yourself by ensuring that you're surrounding yourself with people who are going to challenge you.
Right.
It's certainly going to be interesting. One last quick one, and I'm going to pretend she's not yelling at me. One last quick one. In your first 12 months, what are you most proud of having achieved?
I think whenever young employees want to tell me of their successes, I think when I was out today and I've met two fathers who work at Modern and now their daughters work at Modern, to see the pride in the employee base that they feel like they're now part of something special, something's moving forward, something's contributing to Vision 2030. If I'm playing a small role in being a catalyst in that, that's what I'm most proud of.
And with that, we are completely out of time. In fact, we're on the negative scale. But when they yell at me, I'm going to blame you.
Okay.
Bob
Thanks,
Wilt,
no worries.
always a pleasure. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Wilt, the CEO of Marden. Thank you so much.